Welcome to the AIAMC podcast. I'm Kimberly Pierce Burke, your Executive Director, and I'm so excited to be visiting today with two old friends that I've known for a long time from OhioHealth in Columbus, Ohio. We have with us Doctors Laurie Hommema and Dr. Steve Auciello. They are going to talk with us and share with us their wisdom about their work in National Initiatives 3 and 4, as they have just been named one of our inaugural winners of the National Initiative Impact Award. This award is new in 2025, and it's bestowed upon someone who worked in a prior initiative and sustained the work. And this is just such an example for all of us to learn by. So welcome to both of you. Thanks for being here. As I mentioned, this work started back in National Initiative 3, which was 2011. Think about that, 14 years ago. It's amazing that this work has been sustained, and it was around well-being. So can you tell me, one of you tell me the why? Like, what was it in 2011 that you thought, boy, we need to address well-being in our residency program?
Yeah, absolutely. So 2011 was my inaugural year as a faculty member. And so I had just graduated residency and joined the family medicine residency and was asked to lead this national initiative, which seemed like a lot at the time as a new faculty member. But the work was really truly about thinking about how to teach quality improvement in the residency spaces that hadn't been part of my curriculum, which was, I think, one of the reasons why they asked me to consider it to see how it might fit and think about bringing something new into the GME world at our hospital. At the same time, we had a safety survey that came out within, our normal engagement survey. It was the biannual safety survey. And there was a big discrepancy amongst our programs of handling stress and
Mm.
relating stress to safety culture. And we had kind of a tale of two stories with two of our programs doing exceedingly well, and the rest of our programs really kind of at the bottom end of that bell curve, if you will. And as we were talking with the quality and safety department, we thought this was really something worth investigating and understanding before we tried to bring in a new curriculum, before we tried to teach new skills. If we had programs that were really, really stressed, and programs that were not in a place to receive new information, we knew it just wouldn't work. And so that's when we did a little investigation to learn about burnout. I think it was a new concept back then. And interestingly, all of our programs had pretty significant burnout. So we knew this was something we needed to dig into if we wanted all of this new work to take hold.
Yeah. And Steve, you were a resident at the time, right? Laurie was a new faculty member, and you were a resident, and you're now, I believe, program director for the family medicine program.
Right.
Laurie has moved up through the system now. I think it's senior director, medical director of well-being. So, Steve, you're a resident, and this work started in National Initiative 3 from 2011 to 2013, and then you came in National Initiative 4. Um, and continued this work, expanded it, I believe, to other residency programs. So we've heard from Laurie about the why, like why this was important. Steve, can you talk us through a little bit the how, like how did you go about doing the work? What were the outcomes? Talk a little bit about the vision for sustainability. So tell us about the how a little bit, if you would.
Yeah, happy to share that. So I was really excited to work with Dr. Hommema as a resident on the tail end of this work when we really started to learn how to measure burnout and talk about burnout in our clinical learning environment. And I think just start to acknowledge how hard residency training really is and what are the things that we can do to support the well-being of those that are going through this training environment. And as I transitioned from a resident near the end of this national initiative into a new faculty, I think what we saw is years of data that came out of Laurie's project that helped us tell the story of what burnout really looked like in training. And some of the things that we tried that had some impact or that didn't have impact really helped inform transitioning into my national impact. And I got to run the national initiative focused on well-being. A little bit later, it was a National Initiative 6. I think that was 2017 through 2019. We really got to take a step back. By then, the ACGME was really talking about well-being. We were in a different phase. We had a few more people drinking the Kool-Aid, that we should be including this in our curriculum. And for my project, some of that how was really looking at each of those individual programs in our clinical learning environment. And not just say, hey, here's one thing that worked well for us, because we had been doing this for several years in our program with that clinical learning environment lens. What my project really looked to focus on is how can we support all of the different residency training programs within our hospital because they have so many different needs. And how we did that was identifying at least one person who was invested from a faculty standpoint and a resident standpoint within each program, and creating the space to come together and talk about what those needs are. And I was really excited to see how different the solutions that were developed at each program, how much the national initiative helped support us to have some protected space to talk and brainstorm about those things, and then really bring that together in that as we were supporting each of the different clinical training environments in a different way based on their own unique well-being needs, we were able to elevate the overall well-being of our culture to talk about these things a little bit more. And I think to really further along the work that Laurie's national initiative has started and then has continued to pick up since then. So the how was a lot of different things, a lot of different programs, and trying to identify what worked well for each of those settings.
Yeah, and I really applaud you. Excuse me. I applaud you for that approach of number one, I heard you say, well, these are my words, but getting a champion, if you will, from each residency program, a faculty member, a resident member, and not coming to them and saying, here's what we did in family medicine. Do it. But saying to them, we recognize every program's different. There are different needs. There's different ways to go about doing things. So really coming with an approach of humbleness and respect of, we want to hear from you and let's talk together and, let's try and find solutions that work for you. I mean, really that's at the heart of what our AIAMC national initiatives are. I mean, we pick a broad theme, kind of a big umbrella, and then we say to our members, do something that's meaningful to you locally. Do something that your C-suite will support. That's a strategic goal of your institution. And so, just going with that approach of being, very inclusive, very accepting, and, let's see what's going to work. I just applaud you so much for that. And so tell me a little bit more about, OhioHealth, of course, is such a star, one of our superstar members. They've won the Innovation Award 3 times. OhioHealth has been in every national initiative except just one. So we're about to launch our 10th national initiative. If the AIAMC member approached you that had never been in one, never been in any national initiatives, let alone 8 out of 9 like OhioHealth, what would you say to them? Like, what about that experience has been worthwhile for you? What were the benefits of participating in that work?
Yeah, I mean, I would honestly say, especially with the timing, probably for both of us, not to speak for Steve, but when, just kind of brand new faculty member, it was an incredible opportunity for very immersive yet structured faculty development that taught me how to plan a project, run a project, think broadly, hear from other benchmarkable organizations. I think those opportunities that early in my career really led to me feeling very comfortable leading large system-based work, which I do now every day. And so it was such a great opportunity for your team to really learn those critical skills that are necessary to continue to change healthcare, because we know that we're going to have to continue to adapt and change the way we teach and the way we learn and the way we provide healthcare. And so it's such a great opportunity as you're thinking about developing your new faculty and your new leaders.
I'll add to that. I think the structure of the national initiatives is very beneficial. I'll echo all of what Laurie said. I think from the wanting to change things, but where is there enough time and space to do
Yeah.
it? I think the national initiatives gives you the time and space to do that
Mhm.
because my lens is more focused on the residency education side of things, but there is always something to do. There's a lot of good ideas, but how can you get past the good ideas and into the how can we actually make this happen? I think the monthly
Mhm.
calls, the
Mhm.
working with other hospitals that are doing similar complementary work, even if it's a little different than what you're doing, the guidance of the national initiative along whatever you're trying to do to help support what you're building, and the periodic conferences where you can bring your team
Mhm.
together and really have that space away from the
Mhm.
clinical
Yeah.
environment
Mhm.
was so impactful to be able to move that work forward. I really
Mhm.
feel like that's my main takeaway from the structure of the national initiatives is it helps you get things done in a way that's just really hard to do without some type of defined structure.
Mhm. Yeah, and I've always marveled at teams that come together at the in-person conferences. And it might be a colleague of yours that literally works across the hall or in the same building, but you've got to get on an airplane and go to a conference to have that dedicated, protected time to move the work forward. So I hear you, and I post-COVID. Sometimes the younger generation now coming up is maybe not as thrilled about the travel and why don't we just Zoom everything, but it's hard to articulate that value of really, getting out of the office, getting out of the hospital, and working together as a team. So thank you for noting that. I'd like to know, so let's fast forward to now. Laurie, tell me a little bit about your position and about Ohio Health Center for Wellbeing and how now this is a whole system-wide effort, right?
Yeah, it absolutely is. And what was interesting is that as we were learning through both national initiatives, other parts of the system were taking notice. And so we were partnered very closely with our quality and safety department, specifically in that first national initiative that I led. And they were kind of following along with us. How are we getting these outcomes? Can we try this on some different units throughout the hospital and see if we can learn and replicate? And I think that's something that's really fantastic about our organization is that we do like to learn from each other. And if we find something that works, we've really tried to spread that throughout the organization. And so kind of that unit-based, team-based, personalized approach kind of took off at our main hospital. And then it's not long before the pharmacy department at another
Mhm.
hospital says, "Hey, what are you doing? We've noticed our team is tired and burnt out and stressed." And so very slowly, I would say over the course of from 2011 up until 2016, there were just all these little pockets that we were trying and learning and talking to each other and really trying to understand how we could help all of our teams thrive. And then our vice president of mission and ministry at that time said, "Hey, can we formalize this and make this
Mhm.
a collaborative across the entire
Mhm.
organization?" So that started in 2017. And we were really working hard to make efforts,
Mhm.
across the organization and said, we need, dedicated time to do this. This was the corner of the desk kind of work for everyone.
Yeah. Mhm.
And the organization bought into that. I assumed my role in October of 2019. So you can imagine the timing
Mhm.
of what comes next.
Yeah.
And really had been learning from the Brian Sextons at Duke and the
Mhm.
Tate Shanafelts
Mhm.
at
Mhm.
Mayo and really the leaders in well-being and put together a 5-year strategic plan for the organization when COVID started. So it was
Wow.
bad and good timing in that our CEO
Right.
said, "What are we going
Yeah.
to do?" And I said, "Well, here's a plan. How much do you want to implement?" And so we were lucky enough to really bring together the national best practices and showing that we've proven that they work within our organization, and then really think about how we launch a program for the entire system. So
Mm.
it was a little bit of timing, a little bit of luck, and a lot of effort that went into the first 9 years of the work. Really is
Mm.
truly the volunteer efforts across the system came together as one really now large project that reaches every
Mm.
associate and provider in our organization and 19 hospitals.
Yeah, and I've read, I mean, more than 7,000, points of contact or, people coming in to the Wellbeing Center for assistance. So it really has taken off. And that's, kudos to Laurie and to Steve for starting it. And quite frankly, to the administration at OhioHealth for getting it and coming on board and doing it because it's the right thing to do, not checking a box of some accreditation requirement, because that's not going to be sustained. That's just something to check a box, but that's not been the approach here, obviously. And Steve, you went from a resident leader in these quality improvement projects to now you're the program director for family medicine. So tell us a little bit about what you do now and how this involvement participation in the past has sort of helped frame your work and how you check in on your residents with their well-being, which quite frankly today, people are almost tired of hearing it. It's like, we got to be more resilient. We got to be well-being. So how do you approach that and keep it fresh and authentic?
Yeah, I think walking through all of the lenses that I have had on this conversation, and I've been so lucky to work and continue to build along the great work that Laurie does and continues to do. I think there's two lenses there. One is my personal development in running a national initiative was, so helpful to see how we talk about these things to, with the lens of well-being, how we can move from trying specific things that we're not sure if we're going to work to move towards evidence-based interventions that are individualized based on the unit or the site that we know are going to have meaningful impact. And I see it on the other end now. So now as a program director who really has a deep understanding of how well-being impacts our clinical learning environment and has access to the amazing wealth of resources that Laurie has created through her role, I see residents that access them all the time. We have been able to create a culture of norming this. This is something that, this is not something that talking to someone or saying I need help is stigmatized or is a bad thing. And I think that has taken a long time to transition out of the culture of residency training. And I know that likely goes far beyond residency training. We have residents who, when they are struggling, they ask for help. And when they need something, they access these resources. And they come back to me saying that these resources were effective. So walk through so many of these situations, and this feels like an essential part of our residency training environment where our learners feel supported, and whether it's just a tough day they need to talk to somebody or they're really going through something and need to have that added level of support. We really have such a robust tool set of resources for whatever that resident needs in the moment. And it feels really great to say that here's what we have. I think even early on when I was a new program director and some of these resources were still being developed, there was a lot of those situations where I just didn't really know the best way to support a resident. And it'd mostly just be a call to Laurie saying, what do I do? Now there is so much more, and there's more that our residents will access that I don't even know about, because we have that robust structure. And I think it's so great that we know that residents access these things. We know that this lens of well-being support extends across our entire health system. And it was really fun to watch this journey grow from something that we were talking about to something that has been able to flourish as much as it has.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such admirable work and so obvious why you were chosen for the National Initiative Impact Award to go from one program. And this is what we always, we say, don't boil the ocean, start small and then grow. And you started in family medicine, you expanded it to all the residency programs, and it got expanded across multi-hospital system. And now it's not a one-off, it's a systemic approach to well-being and systemic solutions to well-being, which is just amazing. So we'll end this little chat with what I like to call my lightning rod of fun facts. And there's just a couple, but these are fun and helps us to get to know one another better. So this is called Do You Prefer? So do you prefer, Laurie, I'll start with you. Texting or talking, Laurie?
Oh, talking.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
That would seem to be an easy one. Steve, how about you? Do you prefer salty or sweet?
Yes. But I'd probably go sweet.
Okay, very good. Laurie, do you prefer beach or mountains?
Mountains.
Oh, very good. That's a lot of people would say beach, and I'm in Phoenix right now with the mountains around me, so I have a kindred spirit with you about that, Laurie. And finally, Steve, do you prefer Apple or Android?
Oh, Apple.
Oh,
All the way.
of course,
Simple.
of course. Easy questions. This is an easy conversation. Well, our most sincere thanks to Dr. Laurie Hommema, Dr. Steve Auciello, and to those of you who are watching or listening, we thank you for joining us. We do hope you'll check out other AIAMC podcasts on our YouTube channel, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Thank you for being with us today, and take good care.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.